Okay, so I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible for anyone trying to get into Fate. Disclaimer, I'm not a super fanboy who has read, watched, or played everything of Fate, but I have seen enough to give a basic guide on how to enter the world of Fate. Disclaimer number 2, the Fate world is an absolute clusterfuck with so many different shows, games, manga, visual novels, and by stepping into the fandom, you are stepping into one of the most confusing and potentially toxic fandoms you'll ever see. But with all that being said, you should at least give it a try. It has some of the most interesting characters, intriguing plot lines, and some of the most beautiful fight scenes in all of anime. And there's waifus. And I mean a lot of waifus. But without further ado, let's get started. So the Fate series started as a visual novel, which is essentially an overglorified picture book that you can make some choices in, and depending on the visual novel, choices have different magnitudes of impact on the storyline and final outcome. For Fate, or at least the main storyline, which is the important one, there were 3 routes that you could follow, those being Fate, Unlimited Blade Works, or UBW, and Heavensfeel, which play out in that particular order. How I like to visualize it is picture it like the Pokemon Eevee. How all of its evolutions start off with Eevee, all the Fate series start with the same starting point, and depending on what route you take or stone you give to Eevee, it'll take you down a different route to a different series or to a different evolution. Now, they made another series called Fate Zero, which is actually a prequel to the whole Fate series, but was made after, and it explains a lot about the characters and the plot lines. So you know how the basic starting point of Fate is like Eevee. Now picture Fate Zero as like the egg Eevee would hatch out of. Now there are a lot of mega fans who have dedicated their entire life to knowing everything about the Fate series, and will argue till the day they die about where to start getting into Fate, because technically everything in the Fate world, including all of the visual novels, mobile games, movies, anime, and books, are all technically canon, but then also not. They all connect, but aren't all connected. Now, do you see what I mean? It's all kind of messed up. But majority of people can ignore that whole mess and follow this simple route. The best viewing experience of the show for beginners is watch Fate Zero, then Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, or UBW, and then watch the 3 Heavensfeel movies. And with that, you'll understand 90% of the Fate lore and majority of the characters. Now, if you enjoy what you see, then you can go deeper into the rabbit hole, because let's be honest, this show and movies are pretty freaking good. Now you can watch Fate Stay Night, which came out before all the shows I recommended, but takes place after Fate Zero, and is one of the 3 major timelines. But everyone who's watched it said it's one of the first Fate adaptations ever made, visually and story-wise. And then there are other spin-offs like Fate Apocrypha, which is technically canon, but also not to the main timeline, and takes place in an alternate universe. Same thing goes for Fate Khalid, which is if Fate had lesbian lolly magical girls. So the best Fate. And like I said, there are a bunch of games like Fate Grand Order, Fate Excelia Link, Fate Extra, and Fate Extra CCC. I don't know what the CCC is. And they all add to the story and lore of all the characters. But in the end, none of these matter, but again, they do and don't. They're all canon, but not. And they all don't add to the main timeline, but do. See, even I'm getting confused about it. But the most basic bare bones guide I can give is watch Fate Zero 2011, then watch Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works 2014, and finally the Heavensfeel movies from 2017, 2019, and 2020. If you want more of the Fate franchise and want to get more invested, spend more money, lose days of your life, but in return gain the power of waifus, then there are a ton of videos on the topic from people who know way more than me. I know it may seem confusing and people make it out to be even more confusing than it actually is, but it boils down to whatever you enjoy. Fate Zero, UBW, and Heavensfeel are by far the best adaptations and most enjoyable series to watch, aside from the lolly lesbian magical girls, but that's only for the elites. And you don't have to take anyone's recommendations on the watch order or which ones to watch, because in the end, most Fate fans don't get into Fate with the real watch order. Personally, I watched Unlimited Blade Works first and loved it. Then I found Fate Zero and I'm like, wait, this takes place before? And it made a lot more sense. Then I found Fate Khalid, and I'm like, huh, this isn't the Fate I remember, but binged the entire show. And then Netflix dropped Apocrypha, and I watched that, and was like, wait, they're on teams now? What the fuck? And I'm like, okay, now I'll watch the Heavensfield movies. This just proves who the fuck cares about watch order, or starting points, or timelines. Just pick one and watch it. If you enjoy the concept, there's a ton more out there like it. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna end the video here. If it helped any of you, or got any of you to try it, leave a comment and tell me. I'd love to hear it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like always, thanks for watching.